Hey guys, how are I think like all one of you doing this evening? I I would like to say that today is going to be the day where there are no technical problems, where the stream just runs normally, my computer doesn't crash, uh, or anything like that. Uh, no dead stream. That would be awesome. I can't even tell if the stream is running right now, to be honest with you, because there doesn't seem to be a countdown timer of any sort that's telling me that it is. I guess it is. If you can hear me and this is working, go ahead and just say something in the chat. Whoever this one person is, uh, who's here, the two people that are here. Oh, holy moly! Now all of a sudden the counter is going up, but not steadily. Okay, so more duck today. Here is the duck, showing it to you now. I am planning on working on reliefing in the wings. So basically, if you can see, I don't. Hold on, it's taking a minute to catch up here. Uh, yeah, if you can see, uh, I got a wing just drawn on. Didn't bother to make a stencil or anything like that. I just drew it on freehand. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just start carving those out. Oh, no one here today? Is that what's going on? Oh well. Still trying to work on a duck, huh? Hello, person who just joined us. And by us, I mean literally me. Hi. How you doing? Who do we got? Are you Goon? Or is it, what would be scary is if it's Spinster creepily watching and not typing anything. That would be very strange. Not a Spinster, specific person. Oh, okay. I think I can see from here it's Professor Crocodile. How's it going? As you can see, my popularity has skyrocketed. I don't know if you I don't know if I caught your blur or if you caught my blurb, but carving out the wings or like reliefing around the wings so that they look like they stick out. You know what I mean? So using a chisel, just a big ass like 3/4 inch chisel. Oh, hold on, that's quite the message. I have to get a little closer, see what you're talking about here. Rainstorm. That's exciting. We just had some rain finally, and we live in a place where we're supposed to get like a lot of it, but it's been so damn dry recently. The rain came, and it was just like, so good, so good. So what's funny about this right now is that you're seeing me use literally the only tool that I was willing to shell out good money on, which was a decent chisel. Just because I use them so much to shape stuff and mostly for carving out joints, man. I don't have to just rely on use my saw. Someone else popped in for a second. This is pretty intimate, I will say. So, I guess it looks like it's just the two of us here. So, out of curiosity, like, how far-ranging are the animals that you leave around for people? Like, how many different places have you left them in? I realize I could just ask you in a thread, but I figure we're sitting here anyway. I don't know how far behind the audio is. Oh, sweet. I'm going to come over. I'm going to read that answer here in just a few minutes. I'm just like right on a roll of getting some of these shavings off of here, so let me just get a little bit more done here. I'm going to come and look at that answer. Yeah, starting to get a little bit of relief in there. Let's see. Ten cities and 6 countries. Do you travel for work or something? Or do you just travel for fun? Or do you like live in the European Union? So like countries are like literally 4 blocks away. I always forget that that's an option and people don't have to freaking, living in the United States, it's like hours and hours and hours to get to another country. Even for someone who lives in the north like myself, it's still a really damn long time to get to Canada. Starting to get a little bit of shape into this wing here. A little bit. Nothing you guys will see with the camera yet. Thank you for it's looking nice. It's certainly coming along. We're getting there. Used to travel for work, now you do for fun. I much prefer traveling for fun than for work. Quite honestly, the only time I ever had to travel for work, I had to travel from New Jersey to Alexandria, Virginia, for like an entire like a week at a time, then come back home. Uh, this is obviously when I was living in the Northeast, and that sucked. And really, Virginia sucks. I mean, I'm sorry if you're from Virginia, or if anybody who's like, or the other sneaky person who's like just watching here is from Virginia, but I hate Virginia. It was cool that I could smoke at a bar, but everything else about it sucked. Yeah, starting to get a little. I don't know if you can actually see, uh, if you can actually see it, but pretty soon on the you should get a shot of like the depth of this wing, and it's like starting to actually take on some depth now. I don't know if you can actually see it on that camera. We'll find out, I guess. But yeah, this. Oh, okay, I'm gonna come and read answer real quick. Holy shit, you live in Jersey. That's fantastic. I lived in Bergen County for a few years myself. Have and a ton of my family still lives there. Oh my god, of course. I sent you a fucking package. That's hilarious. I forgot. You're from New Jersey. That's funny. We're not like related or something, are we? Jesus Christ. I always have to ask that of people from there. I gotta come see what you're saying. Oh. Oh, I don't have to read all the time. Okay, yeah, no, sorry. For a second there, I wasn't sure what you were talking about, but now I realize what you mean is I don't have to keep getting up from working and go read. I know. What I'm gonna do is I've been waiting and like snooping Craigslist for just days now, waiting for someone to get rid of a free like shitty CRT TV, and I'm gonna just bring that onto my workbench so I can actually watch the chat. Because I mean, half the fun of this is the fact that it's like talking to people, and if I can't see the chat, that really doesn't help things very much. But thank you for making me not feel terrible about sitting there ignoring you while I sit here and work and talk about nothing. This is really starting to like get a little bit of depth now. I wish I just fucked up my small chisel. Not like permanently fucked up, but I'd have to actually take it out and like uh and sharpen it because I was using it to pull nails. I had this old couch from the 60s uh, that was actually a really, like, it was a nicely made piece of furniture. It was just very, very old and very, very worn. And we took it apart to build a gateway into our garden. Uh, so I was using my small chisel, which is actually crappier than this, but usually kept in better shape because I use it more often than this one. Uh, I was using it to pull nails and staples out, which really fucks up the blade of something. Chisels are really much better tools when they're sharp. Oh yeah, really getting in there. I was just gonna like cheap out a lot of this and use a razor blade to do it, but it looks a lot nicer and it's like in a way it's a lot easier to work with an actual chisel. New Jersey. New Jersey is the only place I really like uh, got so hammered that I passed out in a public place. I've never had that happen anywhere else. So New Jersey wins that one for me. Oh yeah, getting a little bit of action onto the top of the duck now, and it's kind of really getting that wing to kind of have a shape a little bit more now. Just kind of want to. I have a shitty knife here. I'm gonna brandish at you. Just gonna kind of put a nice little I want to show you what I'm doing, but it's hard to. I don't want to cut towards myself while we're doing this here, but I'm just see this line here. I'm just going to actually trace a little path around it with the end of this knife. I'm actually going to sharpen this knife real quick, or just the tip of it. So what I'm doing basically is like cutting right into the pattern, like almost tracing the pattern, if you will, with the knife. It'll make a nice little spot where when I chisel up to it or chisel away from it, where there's a nice, like, it'll actually give it some straight up and down depth instead of rolling depth. So, but to do that, I got to chisel up. Got myself, of course. Typical. I got to chisel up towards it a little bit. Kind of knock down, there we go, kind of knock down some chips off the top. I have suffered a grievous injury. I would like it to be told that on this date at this time, I made the ultimate sacrifice and have cut myself with the chisel. I don't know if I'm going to live, but if I do, I don't know. We'll get some beers or something. Oh yeah, really nice. Okay, now I do want to come and just read the chat. Like, not because I want to. I know I shouldn't stop working really, but like I said, it's fun to talk to people, so might as well come over and see what's up. Bronze Fonz. Why the rest in peace? Don't tell me you got permit or something. Since this has been like the great upheaval recently. I'm getting blood on it, god dang it. That's not cool. Well, actually, no, it is kind of cool in like a heavy metal sort of way. Or were you riping because I have killed myself with my chisel? That's probably why. It's okay. I think maybe I was over exaggerating a little bit about the severity of the injury I suffered. A little. Not a lot, though. It still was pretty egregious. I almost just said egregious. I don't think, like, I don't think egregious is a word somehow. I'm doing something that you should never do when you carve, which is go across the grain. Unless you're doing, like, little intricate stuff. But, like, when you're trying to just do material removal, going across the grain is usually a dumb idea. But I just need to kind of clean up the line on the wing a little bit. I figure what I'll do is whatever I finish tonight, I'll finish up, and then I'm going to probably work on this over the week so that next week I can just do some finish on it. We can do other shit. Because regardless, I mean, I don't really care if it's just one or two people or whatever. even if you guys decide to not watch this shit, I'll probably still just do it because I could talk at something and do stuff. Getting a little bit more kind of the relief there. I can actually show you a little bit like what the angle's like by showing you this. You know, this is the half round or one of the half rounds, and it kind of fills the gap pretty good. I guess I can't show you. I can show me. But yeah, it's getting pretty dang deep if it's holding that. Oh, I'm just throwing stuff all over the shop. No big deal. Ah, I really like this. I like I was saying last week, I've never made a wooden animal before. And this is actually just like an extremely pleasant experience. I'm excited to try something new. Always. But I mean, as far as woodworking goes, it's fun to do something new. You kind of get your thing going, you know, and when you know what you're doing, you don't really get out of your thing very often, you know. Crazy as that sounds. Somebody last week, I don't know who it was. I think it was like Gary Oldman's diary or something. Said I should drill a hole in the back of it and put like a weight so when you put it in water it floats properly. I'm wondering if he was joking, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, that idea has merit. It would be sick if it was a floating wooden duck. I mean, ducks do swim, so it would make sense. I'm not just like throwing like new duck lore out there, you know. I'm staying within duck canon. That's why you try not to cross grain. It's because you break a lot of stuff off in a really haphazard fashion, and but at that point, I just didn't really care. I could have it come off in a haphazard fashion. All this stuff will get cleaned up with files and rasps, you know. So it'll be a little bit less uh, ripped up looking, I guess would be the way to put it. There was some goon who posted some freaking furniture. I wish I knew what thread it was in so I could tell you specifically what thread to go to and look at it. But the guy does awesome work, I gotta say. I wish I could remember what goon it was so I could be like, you, goon, you're awesome and you should make more furniture like that. But I honestly, like, I don't know. I can't remember the damn guy's name. Guy, gal, I don't know. Goon. That's the sound of my fan that really desperately needs to be oiled, but I won't oil it because I'm a bad fan owner. Sorry about the quiet. I'm just concentrating a little bit. I want to try and make sure I don't F this up too bad. I don't know if I said it to you guys a while ago. I don't know. Maybe I did, but I'm just not. Carving is not a skill that I've ever really. I mean, aside from like literally shaping joints with a chisel, I really don't ever carve very much. I usually use like a razor blade if I'm gonna carve something that's like complicated, and that's like never. Once in a very very blue moon. So this is like another one of those like all new kind of experiences. I know I should be using knives, but this chisel is damn sharp, and I take good care of my chisel. So this one at least, my small one, I use for utility shit. Just working a little bit deeper into the wing, try and get it at a steeper angle so it kind of. Oh wow, yeah, you can kind of see it's starting to kind of become a thing. I'm gonna look at the chat real quick. I'm gonna have a drink and I'm gonna have a rip. You're drinking whiskey tonight? Whoever the second person is watching this, if you want to chat, you can tell us what you're drinking as well. Katana batarang. Okay, yeah. So I'm probably gonna do a sword next. I don't know if it'll specifically be a katana, but I'm definitely gonna do like a multi-part thing, like where like it's all like almost as if it were a piece of metal. Like it'll be like a blade and a tang, and it'll be built into a handle with a pommel and stuff like that. I figure once again it's probably going to my kids, so I'm just gonna go fancy and ridiculous on it. Oh, I just burped. I apologize for that. That's pretty uncouth of me to be doing. Ugh. Okay, Professor Crocodile. Hilarious by and by that the postage was 420 on that package. Was not expecting that, but was pleasantly surprised when I paid for it. It's like I tried not to snicker, but I think when you try not to snicker, you look even more like you're snickering. So, I don't know. Figure out which one's flat, which one's round. I'm gonna start cleaning this up a little bit so I get a look at what kind of thing we're dealing with here. And start maybe trying to mimic it a little bit on the other side. In a way, this is also a fun challenge because it's such shitty wood that it works like crapola for all intents and purposes. So it's like it's quite challenging to make this like form a shape that I want it to form, which usually would be really irritating, but because this is just like I'm making a fucking duck project, like it's not really irritating. It's kind of whatever. But because it's such shitty wood, it has like this huge like. I mean, I don't have my yardstick on me, but I mean this grain is like easily a quarter of an inch. Some of it almost Oh no, quarter of an inch apart and like just fucking huge. So when I finish it, it should have a extremely zebra-ish appearance, which will be kind of cool. It's like that's the only problem with giving it to the kid is like I'd love to use a cray cray finish on it. I might just have to make a second duck to give to him and maybe make myself a display duck. I don't know. A display duck. My show duck. Boy, some of these the once again crappy wood, so it doesn't work very well, which means that even fine tools leave kind of gougy marks. Um, to some extent. I mean, really fine tools don't, but like tools that are on the medium side of fine leave gougy marks, and then like I'm looking at these gouges, I'm like, God, they almost. Yeah, I could almost leave some of these gouges to simulate feathers in some of these areas. I don't know. I've never made a duck before. There are like people who like seriously like it's all they do is they make ducks, decoy ducks for I mean supposedly for people who duck hunt, but I think it's a lot more for people who collect like I guess Americana shit. I don't even know if you can call duck decoys Americana, but yeah, there's like people who make like crazy good ducks out of wood, like crazy good ducks out of wood, but their ducks are like fucking $500 ducks, you know? I don't know. I feel like that is one of the like the one of those jobs that it's like how the hell did you just like choose duck maker? I'm gonna make a duck. Like I don't know. I don't know. Then again, I'm sitting here making a duck, so perhaps there's more merit to uh, the task of duck making than I previously assumed. Who is it? I will honestly admit, I want to know who the second person is. I desperately want to know. It couldn't. Oh, hold on a second. I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna see what you are typing real quick. Oh my goodness. Oh yes, we're getting some duckly shapes going on here. Yes, it would be honestly, it would be cheaper to hire a fucking guy at scale to come and just fucking stand around in a goddamn duck costume. But there are people who make like ridiculously fancy ducks, and that is like their job, is making ridiculously fancy ducks. I am sure there's got to be someone in the uh I always forget the name of their forum, the gun nut forum, TFR, the firing range there. There's got to be someone in that forum who owns one of these like very expensive duck decoys. I'm almost tempted to go and post a thread asking if someone has one just for funsies. I shouldn't call them gun nuts. They're all nice people. Well, most of them are nice people, I think. I don't know. once again, you know, it's not, it's, you can't really see the curves because it's not super, I mean, not, you can, but it's not like polished or anything, but it's really starting to like feel like it has a wing, which I quite enjoy, to be perfectly honest. Just trying to like doing my best to use like kind of some steeper angles to kind of get some good relief, but it takes a little patience because you got to kind of round a spot out until you can get a flat file to kind of fit into it right and do what you want it to do. Yeah, that's a little bit more like it. Last time I was here, I was talking about how like this fucking thing is like a $5 thing that you can just walk into the hardware store and buy. Which you were saying you live in an apartment. I mean, honestly, whittling like uh, simple knife carvings, like doing spoons and stuff like that, is so not off limits to you at all. Like there are like some good starter kits and shit that come with like nice knives, not shitty stuff like I use, but like decent stuff. They're like in the like $30 range, where you can like actually make some like woodcraft stuff without having to have a fucking shop, you know, or having to have even a real workspace more than like a desk or something. I just think if you're interested, I don't know if you are, but you were lamenting not being able to do so and because of living in an apartment. If you're interested, like woodwork can take any, like it can be a very small thing. You know, people have whittled for ages and ages just to make cute little stuff, and that it's a cool skill to have, man. As far as carving is, I once again I wish that I had that skill, uh, in you know in some more quantity than I have it now. But yeah, it's something to think about if you're interested in working wood, you know. And they like sell you wood blanks and stuff, stencils and such. Oh my goodness, yes. It's really, really, really starting to kind of come together now. I just like I know you could probably see it if I showed it to you at the right angle, but I'm not sure how to do that. Like sometimes I'm not very good at spatial things, but I'm gonna just like kind of twist this a little bit and see if you can actually see the contour that's going on. But I mean, you know, to the human eye, for me right now, I can definitely see a wing popping out now. So that's making me pretty freaking happy. I guess you know I didn't make a stencil like a stupid idiot moron. I just decided to freehand draw this wing on. I guess now what I'll do is I'll make like a negative stencil of it, put a piece of paper over it, and like trace the lines and flip it over, and then use that on the other side. Try and keep them roughly symmetrical. I mean, not perfect. I ain't making no $500 duck. Yes. Oh, carve a chain out of wood. Okay, I honestly have never done that before, but that sounds sick. Um, that sounds like a really neat thing. So that means that I'm probably going to be YouTubing stuff and and seeing exactly what you mean. I mean, like, I guess I understand the concept, but that is cool as hell. That would be fun to try. I probably would actually need to get a knife, like one decent carving knife. That would be probably in the wheelhouse there. But like, yeah, that's sick. I mean, it's not. It's always nice to, once again, it's always nice to try your skill on something new. Maybe that's you should find a good example and post it in the thread and let me see. And I mean, that might actually just right override sword, like right there. I ended up. I don't know if you saw the. I ended up getting some new tools that I was gonna like kind of show off, but I don't have. I was looking around and I totally don't have any bolts to mount down the new scroll saw, which was really what I was excited about. So I haven't got to run it yet, which is really sad. But probably by next week I'll make a trip to the hardware store and pick up some stuff to actually bolt it down. It runs on a electric motor to a belt, like it basically the tool itself is fully mechanical, and you have to apply uh, basically apply energy to it. And I obviously you do it with a little electric motor, but yeah, it actually runs on a belt. The table saw that I got also runs on a belt, which is sick actually, because I do use my table saw sometimes for things that I would not recommend using table saws for. And if the blade gets bound, it'll actually hop the belt before burning up the goddamn motor. So I do enjoy that quite a bit. If you want, you let me know in the chat. I'll come and check at some point. But if you want, I'll show you these tools. The table saw I got is like an '80s one, which I know isn't like crazy, but it's a really cool saw. But the scroll saws, I got two scroll saws, and one of them is like from '53, and the other is like from '55. And the one from '53 is actually in really nice shape. Like it's basically like I said, it's ready to run. I just need to get bolts to mount the motor onto the board with it. But it's a really neat machine, really really cool. I like old machines. I'm also restoring a vise that I got that was rusted up. I if once again, you let me know in the chat. I'll come and check. But if you're interested in seeing that as well, um, I have a whole bunch of parts that have been rust removed and stuff. I can even show you a little bit of the process of doing that shit. I mean, it's nothing fun. It's literally just scrubbing stuff with a brush. But pulling out, soaking it in vinegar for a couple of days, pulling it out, brushing off the rust, hitting it with mineral oil to keep it from just immediately re-rusting. But yeah, restoring old tools is like one of my very favorite things, and you just don't really get a lot of chances for it because, especially now, people know that shit is worth some money to sell to people to restore. You know? Thanks, internet. Oh, this is just making me so happy. I'm happy that I'm proving to myself right now that a duck is not outside my reach. That waterfowl may be in my wheelhouse. Come see what's up. Take a rip real quick. I'd like to say this is the first stream in which some technical difficulty has not totally effed me up. My computer has yet to freeze or crash or anything like that, which I am extremely happy about. Let's see. Oh God. Don't get me started on the care what they doing thing. I care what they're doing thing. I love tools. I always have since I was a little kid, and I just I love them. I always have. So here, let me. I'm gonna take a rip. I'm gonna just carve a tiny bit more on the wing of this duck, and I'll pull this vise around, and maybe we can put some parts back onto it. Um, see what's going on with that. Oh, I'm drinking flavored seltzer, not the alcoholic kind, but the non-alcoholic kind. It's very good. It's making me it's very effervescent. Very effervescent. Oh my goodness, this is just so nice. This is like really pleasing me right now. Oh, this is just like munching that thing. You know, this wood is actually soft enough that the fine file actually does a bit of material removal too. Leaves the wood looking a little bit nicer as well. It's a little bit closer to like that consistency that you want to start sanding on it. Yeah, there we go. That's not too bad. Do this for just a couple more minutes here, and then we'll flop that vise out and get a look. Yeah. Okay. So show you one more time here. What's happening? Little thing going on there. Yeah, this will be pretty sweet when it's all done. It's gonna look pretty neat. I'm gonna be very excited to have made a duck. So okay, I'm gonna not try and not put my back out while I lift this behemoth over to this side of the bench. I switched. I don't know if you noticed, but I switched orientations in the shop today, as far as facing face what direction I'm facing. As I was facing to the east, now I'm facing to the west, so you can see my paint cans. I think. I honestly I can't quite see what see the preview, the streaming preview. So I don't know what exactly you're seeing behind me here, but oh my gosh, okay, it's a vise. This thing is huge. I'm gonna get close enough that I can see the preview because I need to see what's going on. Oh, it just tipped. It's a vise in many pieces, so it's kind of slippy and fally and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So yes, this is it. I have absolutely no idea of the provenance. Um, I can't find a number or a model or a manufacturer anywhere on it. So I have no idea. It's been living outside of someone's home for a while. The same guy who gave me the bandsaws gave me this vise as I was walking out. He it was literally sitting out next to the road, and he was like, "Hey, do you need a vise?" And I mean, if you do any handy work in a workspace, you definitely need a vise. You always need a vise. I mean, there's never a time that you don't need a vise. So I'm just gonna. I have some. Ooh, I'm trying to decide the best way to do this. You know, I got a little bit of space here. Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna bring around just a few pieces here. Uh, of course, sometimes you kind of forget to mineral oil some stuff in the process. I'm gonna be right there. I just gotta scrub this one more time. It's gotta get mineral oiled again. It'll literally just take me a second here. I don't know. Maybe you can actually see at my sink. Maybe you can see me right now scrubbing that on that. I'm looking at the camera. I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's actually pretty much pointed like right over by here. Mineral oil just to make sure nothing rusts again, because of course once you expose the rust or the metal underneath the rust, it immediately oxidizes again. So I'm thinking, because I have the whole assembly ready to go anyway, uh, that we could just put the jaws on. So I'm going to wipe this out and get a little bit of oil in there. Uh, I'll show you the pieces we're putting in here in just a moment. Luckily everything inside of here is just like kind of surface rust, so I can just wipe away with a towel. So these, I'll show you these here. These are the jaws of the vise. Um, Same deal. These were pretty damn rusted, uh, but I took the rust off. Same thing. Soaked them in vinegar for a few days. Uh, let's see. I'm not sure which one goes on which side. And then instead, because these are just because I kind of just wanted a different finish on the metal than what it had previously had, I gave these a tung oil finish instead to keep them from rusting. Just setting a couple screws here. So now I'm at the point where I have a few more things that are in the vinegar bath. Got my Allen wrenches over here. A few more things that are in the vinegar bath. Um, and then I got to do surface rust on the chassis itself. But then it'll be just about done, and I'll mount it to my bench here. I still have to do surface rust on this handle here because it is upsetting me how rusty it is. I was debating whether or not I should go through and like remove all the paint and like brush it all the way back to bare metal, which I really really didn't want to do only because it would have been just a pain in my butt to do so. But it's tempting. It is. It's really tempting to like do the full disassemble, remove all the paint, all that BSery. But if I did it, this thing would just be so sick looking. Like that matters though. Like it even matters if it's nice looking. I mean, I know it doesn't, but at the same time, it's like it's so tempting. Ah, for some reason the screw does not want. I'm concerned that I might have grabbed the wrong screws, but if that's the case, this one certainly held on. And I'd be very confused because then I wouldn't know what screws are actually supposed to go to this vise. The only ones that I had that seem to fit the bill, but I'll go take another look. Yeah, huh, let's see. gotta be them. So, let's see what's happening here. One of these is hooked in. And, like, fine. The other is quite silly. Because the thing should move around a little bit so it can actually, like, grip stuff. The jaws should wiggle a little bit. Oh. I think I might have just gotten it. Let's see if I'm even getting into the hole. Usually mechanical stuff is fucking easy to put together because it like all wants to line up, but this is being a pain in the butt for me. Well, see, that was funny because I swear I felt it thread in, but it seems to not want to do the do. Huh. Really? Very strange. Oh. Well, it could be that I have the jaws upside down or on the wrong side. So that's the next. Next thing here. Yeah, I really wish I could find a maker's mark on this. I do like to know the provenance of my tools typically, because I do have a lot of old tools. It's one of the things that I like most about my shop is that I have a ton of old tools. I'm not like a crazy person about old always being better, but I do enjoy the quality of older tools. They're just heavier, and I know that that's stupid, but it's also how I tell the difference between whether I like a piece of electronics or dislike a piece of electronics is literally just based on how heavy it is. Boy, this just does not want to go for me. That's concerning. We're going to go try the other side real quick and see what happens there. What would quite suck, because this seems, yeah, what would quite suck is if this doesn't want to work, it's probably going to mean that that hole that it's in has to get filled and then drilled out again, like tapped out again, so that it can have some new threads. Because I'm concerned about. Well, now I'm wondering if maybe this screw might help the situation over there. Let's find out. I'm gonna come over and check the chat here in just a minute. I also need to drink something. I have extreme dry mouth right this moment. Yeah, I'm concerned that it's stripped. That the threads inside the vise are stripped. So it seems like even if I'm holding it as flush as it can get, yeah. Oh, fantastic. It'll still work for the moment, but that needs to get repaired. So, yay. So, of course, you start effing around with a project like this, and it turns out that it's like 8 times more work than you thought it was going to be. But that's fair. I'm really not looking forward and slash looking forward to the second bandsaw that I got is in need of restoration desperately. I mean, it still works, but it really, really, really needs love of just like a sincere amount of love. So, oh, I just hate this. I hate the fact that I am gonna have to do more work to get that to set properly. But okay, there's Jaws on the Vice. That's a good start. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, it is. And you know what? It's not a trick of perspective. It is fucking huge. This Vice is fucking gigantic. I love it. I gotta grab something to drink real quick, and then I mean shit. Since we're just looking at tools, we might as well take a look at a couple of these tools. I'll show you. We'll start with the bandsaw that needs to be restored because it's actually a freaking cool looking tool. I actually, this lens is so wide angled. I bet you if I scooted this back just a little bit, I could probably get the saw right up onto my workbench. Yeah, I would love to show you my camera rig right now because it is hilarious. It's like a tin with a box of BBs inside of it to hold it still because I couldn't find anything besides the tin to that the camera's suction cup would stick to. And yes, the camera does have a suction cup, in case you were wondering. Ah! Pinching myself, give myself a blood blister like a dumbass. Okay, scroll saw. So this one, I guess part of the reason why I think this one is so sweet versus the other one. The other one is complete, but it has a new motor, like one from Harbor Freight. Um, which is whatever. I mean, I'm not going to say that their shit is crappy because it is crappy, but it's a nice motor. Like, it'll work just fine for the life of that saw, basically. But this one came with the OG motor. So, this is. Okay. About 1955. I'm not exactly sure of the date, but somewhere around 1955 would be the manufacture date for this. It's not Craftsman, it's Sears Roebuck, which was crazy to me because I always figured that that Craftsman had always been their tool brand. I didn't realize that they had like their own tool brand. I'm looking at the picture and I'm realizing you can't see the top of this thing. Maybe give that a little pop up. It's gigantic. You can see that it has a patina of rust all over it. It needs all the paint removed. It needs to be basically like torn down completely. But if you can, I'm pretty sure you can see this. The motion actually works great. Uh, the, I mean, obviously the camshaft is intact. Whatever is driving it is really functioning well. So like the internals of the saw are all awesome. Which this is okay. You are supposed to actually put like car oil, like 10W30 car oil, into the crank of this thing, which is freaking crazy to me to think that this tool is old enough at that point. You know what I mean? Or it's just like that old. So that's the tool itself. It is super rusted, but it is super sexy. Like I have to say, as far as like I love shit from the 50s. I love shit from the 60s. Like I I really really do. This thing speaks to me on like a whole level that I can't even like share with you. So I love this thing and I'm really excited to restore it. It was I know you can't tell because it takes a really close inspection, but it was at one point powder blue in color. So now that is cool, but this is what fucking just like is crazy to me, and I'm going to try and get this thing over here without breaking. Here we go. Is that this is the OG electric motor that runs it. I did not know this, but apparently Packard slash GM had an electric motor division, and this is a Packard electric motor. So I thought that was pretty goddamn cool. It works. It doesn't really need any I mean I'll go through and give it a little scrape, give it a little oil where it needs oil, and leave it at that most likely. It needs a scrape just because it has some surface rust on it. But besides that, it's completely intact and runs, which is fucking awesome. I'm extremely pumped. So yeah, old antique Packard electric engine or electric motor that still runs, which is effing crazy. Now the problem with this is that it is fucking heavy, extremely, extremely, extremely fucking heavy. For how small it is, it's ridiculous. Let's see. Yes, Packard. Yes. Um, literally Packard. Literally Packard. I think it's fucking hilarious myself. But yeah, I I don't know, man. Sometimes you old tools, especially the stuff after World War II, where they started repurposing things back to normal building, and there were a lot of people in the workforce all of a sudden, and there were so many companies making so many things all at once that you just get very weird overlap. Actually, so the World War II stuff is interesting too, as far as what metal was getting used for and what companies were doing what. My grandfather fought in the Pacific Theater of World War II, and we found his rifle, the rifle that he used when he was over in the Pacific Theater in World War II, which was really fucking cool to find. But it was made by the Corona typewriter factory. The rifle was, and it's you're like, oh, okay, that makes no sense. And then when you think about it, you're like, well, shit. I mean, everybody was making things for the war. Why wouldn't they too? So I don't know. An interesting time for manufacturing, I guess, would be the way to put it. I guess, well, I mean, of course it was. I'm talking away from the microphone. You probably can't hear me. That's okay, though. Alright, so I'm going to drag this bad boy over. This is the one that doesn't really need much work at all. I mean, a little bit of surface rust, tiniest bit. But I have a blade in it. It's basically ready to cut. I just need to have it actually, bolted down. This is a company that was making saws for Sears alongside of Craftsman. So I don't know. Once again, a lot of people manufacturing things all at one time. You know what I mean? So the color, I don't know if you can see it because of lighting, but it is basically midnight blue. There are plaques on this one, which is awesome. I had to go searching for a serial number on the other one, but this one still has the plaques on it. You can actually make out, I'm going to take you for a ride here. You can actually make out the company name. It's a Dunlap. It's still on there, which is pretty damn cool. So I'll set you back down now. But yeah, once again, it's a fully functional saw. The crank turns just fine. It's a little. This one, it's funny that this is the one that he was, the guy who gave it to me. That this was the one he was using. It feels a little bouncy to me, and I don't know. I'm concerned a little bit about how much blade distortion it's gonna. And by bouncy, I mean it feels like it slips off the camshaft when the camshaft turns, instead of kind of nicely sliding down the camshaft. So Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see. When I kick it up, we'll see what the blade does. But I am concerned that it's gonna actually distort the blade a little bit as it goes. But yeah, those are those two scroll saws and that vise I got for free from the guy that I got my table saw from, and I have to say, pretty much my favorite person right now is that guy. Um, I it's like I don't even know what to do to say thank you to the dude. You know what I mean? Like it's hard when someone does something that nice for you because you're like first instinct is like, well, what the fuck do I do for them now? You know? And and the thing is, I don't even know the guy, so it's not like I like know his preferences or anything, or like I can like plan something particularly good. Oh yeah, by the way, the motor for that one is just like I said, it's just a Harbor Freight motor. It's nothing fun to see. Um, yeah, I guess I mean it. Yeah. So let's see. What are you talking about? All right. Well, I think that's about it for me. I'm gonna wrap it up for the night. Thanks for coming by and listening to me ramble and watch me work some wood. And I mean, I'll be back next week. Have a good night, guys.